But now for a fair and balanced debate, we're joined by Representative Steve Scalise, the Republican from Louisiana, who sent a letter to Obama signed by 100 members of Congress asking to speed up the permit process. Sir, I referenced that in the interview with Dr. Heldman. What about it? Why does the Obama administration insist on not permitting offshore drilling, even though they've been told to by a federal judge?
Well, Eric, it's very disappointing because if you look, not only is President Obama's policy as relates to drilling, making our country more dependent on Middle Eastern oil at a time when they've never been more volatile, but it's also costing jobs. We've lost over 12,000 jobs just in Louisiana alone since President Obama put that moratorium in place, and now what we call a permitorium, where he refuses to issue permits, just one in the last 10 months in the deep water where we know there are vast reserves of oil here in America.
Representative, I do the math, 138 billion gallons per year of gasoline Americans use, 378 million gallons per day. Now, you're in Louisiana Gulf Coast. I'm affecting the industry. I guess the industry affecting you down there. We're sending $650 million per day to overseas dictators that, frankly, don't love us. Is that right?
That's exactly correct. And not only is it taking all of that money and sending it overseas, that adds to our federal deficit. That's billions of dollars that's not staying here in America to help pay down this massive deficit that President Obama seems to have no desire to control without a control spending in Washington. But it's also shipping more jobs overseas. As I said, just in Louisiana alone, by the White House's own admission, it's 12,000 jobs we've lost. We think it's much higher than that. But what's more at stake is America's energy security, because as the president continues to stifle domestic energy production here in America, those foreign countries, where it's even more volatile in the Middle East, are going to see increased production because of our lack of ability to drill. Look, if you look at the deep water rigs that left the Gulf since the Deepwater Horizon exploded 10 months ago, 5 different rigs have already left the Gulf. 2 of those rigs have gone to Egypt. Now, we all know what's going on in Egypt. It's a real sad indictment on this administration that people, employers in this country, think it's better to do business in Egypt than the United States of America.
Sir, this is probably an unfair question. You may not know this, but being in Louisiana, you're involved in the industry, the oil industry, quite a bit. If I remember correctly, it took BP 5 or 6, maybe 7 months to drill a 5,000-foot well hole, 2 relief wells, in about a mile deep water. Is that right?
Well, and that was at an escalated pace with every resource available being marshaled. It takes a long time to not only explore, but also to then bring the oil out of the ground.
Right,
to be
but
able
my
to
point
bring
is,
it into
if we
production.
start now, sir, if we start now, we wouldn't have these people on the left saying that any new drilling won't have an effect on price. My guess is the first time you drop a drill bit into the ocean bed, prices tumble.
Well, they will, and we're seeing this in the Middle East just literally the day after you have unrest, whether it's in Egypt or Libya, where you see the price skyrocket the next day because this is a global commodity. But by that same token, we saw prices starting to increase well before what happened in Libya, because when President Obama started to shut down production of American energy, we started to see that price go up in the winter, when normally it's not until the summer the price goes up. Usually we see a dip in the winter, and yet we were already starting to see an increase. In fact, gas prices have nearly doubled since President Obama got elected.
Representative, I personally want to say thank you for the letter that you sent to Obama demanding more drilling. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thanks. We're waiting on an answer. His own scientists say it's actually safer to drill in the Gulf. There is a safe way to do this, but unfortunately, the president keeps exporting jobs out of this country and increasing America's dependence on Middle Eastern oil at a time when we shouldn't be going that route.
All right, I guess say thank you to Representative Scalise.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, joining me now on our all-star panel.